Guys, hello, it's Tony from the Outsider channel. We got a little bit of a special video for you guys today. First of all, just hit 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I feel like we were just here a few weeks ago doing the 500 update. The channel's growing so fast. I was even planning on doing this video like a month from now. Kind of caught me off guard. Could be worse things. Anyway, this video is a little bit more about me. Who the hell am I? You guys have committed to the channel, so many of you, so quickly. So I want to share a little bit more about my life, who I am, kind of like a little short story of how I got to this point, because I think it's a pretty interesting one. It's worth telling, and I feel a little vulnerable sharing this with you guys, but hey, we're not so much strangers anymore. So I'm gonna have a seat, do a little bit of a deep dive, share a little bit about my life with you guys. Okay, let's do this. Grew up in Connecticut. I'm an East Coast transplant to the West Coast here in Southern California. And I grew up basically as a teenager as a skateboarder. My mother owned a skateboard park called the Playground in Connecticut. Probably one of the luckiest kids to be as a skateboarder to have his own skate park. Anyway, that was my life. And it became my life in my 20s. I was lucky enough to get sponsored as a kid, and I moved out to California at like 19 and lived in a house with some of the best skateboarders in the world. I traveled around the world. I really lived this crazy life that was really removed from society at the same time. Long story short, things got crazy, cliches happened, people started to get some money, people started to drink too much, do some drugs, the lifestyle got a little bit gnarly, and at the same time, I had one of the worst injuries of my life. I totally turned my whole ankle. I didn't break it, but I tore all the ligaments in it, and it immediately flared up. I didn't know what the hell it was. It never happened to me before. I heard things pop, gross, I know. It happened. All of a sudden, a year later, my sponsors were getting on my butt. I missed a video part. I was just faced with like, what am I doing now? I didn't have a plan B. So basically, I just bought a one-way ticket back to Connecticut with no plan. It's one of the scariest things I've ever done, especially being a kid. And you know, I'm not complaining here. Being in that lifestyle, being a skateboarder, having that as your job and no responsibility is amazing on this side of things. But when that comes to an end and you don't have a plan and you didn't really think about it, you're thrown into kind of a world of crap because you have no skills. You don't even know what it's like to wake up on time to go to a job. You've never been in a social setting where you have to be professional. So, you know, I went back to Connecticut and I didn't know what to do. I stayed with my mom. I drove her crazy. I still kind of went out and partied and didn't care. And I realized pretty quickly that I was in over my head. I needed to get my crap together. So basically what I did is I just bit the bullet. I got a job at a snowboard ski shop and went back to school, and I just kind of like became not a different person, but my priorities completely changed. You know, I still did skateboarding on the side and I still had fun, had beers with friends, but I switched off that priority switch and moved into focusing on the rest of my life. You know, in your mid-20s, just starting college, I was like sometimes the same age as the freaking teacher, and that's not embarrassing as much as it was a reminder of like, dude, stay on this path because this is the way you need to go. College happened, and I just wasn't happy living in Connecticut for that time. I worked at an outdoors company, I did social media, I did digital marketing, and I liked the outdoor company, what it stood for, but I didn't really like working there. I was very bored, and I was a lot of time being wasted just staring at the screen. So I got in touch with some old friends out here in California that I used to work with in a different way when I was younger, and I was just like, hey, I'm moving out here in 1 month, and I'm gonna come knocking on your door. So I just said, what the hell? I sold everything I owned in my apartment, and I packed up my car and drove across the country for 2 weeks, saw the sights, did some good stuff. I ended up after 6 months getting a job in the skateboard industry. A new life that kind of brought me full circle. I work in skateboarding, and one of the reasons I'm able to do these videos and be able to ride so much is because I am able to distribute my time in my own way. Transitioning this into mountain biking is something I found after skateboarding. I got older, jumping down handrails and stairs, even though my brain said it was fun and I wanted to keep doing it, my body just said no. Some of you guys know the drill. So I found mountain biking through some friends, and I picked it up kind of as a hobby and got a whatever bike, I think a Giant Rain years ago in Connecticut, and when I moved out here, I got an intense spider and started riding with people at work. One of the buddies, my buddy Brian, who was in the last video, the luge, took me under his wing a little bit and showed me the ropes, and I was just freaking hooked. Like, I loved it. I felt like I was on a skateboard in a lot of ways. A lot of the movements on a mountain bike, when you pump into corners and you're at the bike park and you're transitioning your weight and you're distributing things, it felt so natural to me, and it felt like that thing that I started to miss from skateboarding. And I started to get that excitement again and passionate about something, and I just dove into it, and I've been hooked ever since. So for a few years now, I've been just like focused. Love riding my bike. I still skate, not as much, but I'm trying to get on my bike as much as I can, traveling as much as I can. I'm going to sign off and just kind of get into the little slideshow I prepared for you guys. I hope it's not too cheesy. It was kind of like a nostalgia road I went down making it and finding these photos and putting this together. I got a little choked up last night when I put this together. Means a lot to me that you guys are tuning in. Thanks so much for being a part of the channel. This thing is just taking off. Pupper Pip and his little friend. Pip's obsessed with squirrels. Okay, let's go.
Look at my life, I'm a lot like you were. Old man, look at my life, I'm a lot like you were. Old man, look at my life, 24 and there's so much more. Live alone in a paradise that makes me think of two. Love lost, such a cost. Give me things that don't get lost, like a coin that won't get tossed, rolling home to you. I'm a lot like you. I need someone to love me the whole day through. One look in my eyes and you can tell that's true. Lullabies, look in your eyes, run around the same old town. Doesn't mean that much to me, to mean that much to you. I've been first and last, look at how the time goes past, but I'm all alone at last, rolling home to you.
Cheers, buddy.